1, 2, 3, check, and let's go ahead and make sure that the stream is actually live. Awesome. All right. Hello everyone, how's everyone doing today? Let's go ahead and start off by saying that I am really excited about making these streams every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you guys are as excited as I am, just don't forget to subscribe, join in with the team, and we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the stocks that we see the most value in. We'll go ahead and review some of the stocks that we ended up talking about during our last stream on this video. We're also going to talk about some new stocks that we'll either find on FinWiz. We'll break down some of your guys' stocks. If you guys are interested in me doing a financial breakdown of some of the stocks that you are interested in, ETFs, or again, cryptocurrencies as well, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, or actually make sure to leave a comment in the live stream comments section if you're actually watching it online right now. And let's go ahead and get started, and let's look at my screen. And the first thing that I would like us to do, as usual, let's go ahead and follow up on some of the companies that we ended up talking about during our previous stream, and make sure that we actually follow up and see how they're doing. Over the past week, I have been actually receiving lots of different notifications about some of the stocks that we ended up talking about, and if I get a notification, that means that it usually either goes up or down. In this case, last week has been extremely green, and nearly, how many stocks do we have here? About 17 different stocks that we talked about last week. We actually ended up green on 90% of those stocks. There are a couple of stocks that we'll see that ended up not really making that big of a jump, or they ended up falling. But for the majority of the stocks we found the most value in, we ended up turning positive on this week, which is great. I only made one day trade throughout the entire week. Actually, this was my first day trade over the past couple of months. And as you know, I'm usually focusing on value investing. I do my technical analysis determination, and then after the actual stream, I do a financial analysis of the stocks that we talk about. And also let me know if you would like to know how I do that, and we can dive into that a little bit more. But I usually just review some of the stocks that we talk about again at the previous live stream, and then decide what kind of size of a position I would like to take. And towards the very end, I usually follow up on that at the very end of the week, and hold my stocks for about, actually, this was the main reason why I started talking about this. I already lost the track of thought, but we ended up, I usually hold my positions for about 2 to 3 months, if not longer. So I seldomly swing trade, I barely day trade, and I usually hold my position for about half a year to a year, if not longer. But without a further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first stock that we're looking at right now, actually we ended up setting up a couple of alerts for this one. Nothing really. Okay, perfect. So yeah, this one panned out just like we talked about. The only thing that I mentioned this at our previous stream is RYCEY, very low volume stock. Wasn't very interested in this one, didn't trade this one, but definitely wanted to follow up on it. And as we can tell, 180-day SMA line ended up rejecting the price of the stock, and it ended up tanking. I'm not sure what the catalyst for the events that ended up driving the price down to its previous major level of support was, but nonetheless, we ended up seeing a major drop of about 47, almost 50% of the value of the company. And this was back in December of 2020, very beginning of December. So it got rejected by SMA line. So it seems like it's continuously making higher highs, and we have a potential for profit of about another 50% up until the next major line of resistance, which is identified at about $2.36. Let's not spend too much time on this. Let's go ahead and focus on the stocks that we see the most value in. And let's go ahead and move to IVR. Okay, so IVR, I really like this one. If we look at a 3-year chart, we can see that IVR Invesco used to trade at about $16 a share. Right now, it's currently making higher highs, and it's forming this beautiful pattern that I tend to take advantage of, which is ascending wedge. And let's go ahead and look into it a little bit closer. So you can see how it starts to make higher highs. and it confirms this level of $4.12 as a resistance. So currently what I would want to do to play this stock, I would make sure that I trade it as a spoiled trader, and I actually want to make sure that it actually breaks above this line of resistance. There is actually a stock that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I'll show you what kind of day trade I made. We'll also talk about why I should have waited and how I'm going to utilize the knowledge that I received, a confirmation of the knowledge that I've known for a while, and how it's going to be applicable to IVR, how it's going to be applicable with NYMT, and I believe it's going to be applicable to there's one more stock, IVR, I mean MITT. It's not on my watch list, but MITT is another one that I'm going to use. So in the meantime, if you guys have any ideas for any of the companies that you want me to do a breakdown on, then don't hesitate to leave me a comment in the comment section and I can break that one down. But let me go ahead and log into my other account on my phone and actually remind myself what kind of a company that was that I ended up trading, and that I left only one stock in my portfolio just on my watch list. But as my phone is waking up because it was completely dead today, we're going to go ahead and start breaking down some other stocks. Actually, let's go ahead and set up our line of resistance. There we go. So what a perfect ascending wedge. This is a great example of the company that is getting ready for a breakout. It can potentially be within this realm, within this radius, right, within the lines of support and resistance up until, what is this date? 25th of this month, so 5 more days. So it doesn't have that much time to make a major move. And based off of my technical analysis, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a position at around this opening price on Monday, and I'm going to set up my alerts a little bit closer. And I'm going to wait for it to break out above the current line of resistance. It's an ascending wedge, so I can say that I'm putting up my hopes up there. So we'll see. Again, as a disclaimer, not a financial advisor. Go ahead and not listen to what I have to say about these stocks, and this is for entertainment purposes only. And don't hesitate to leave me a comment about what kind of stocks you guys are following up on, and we'll definitely break those down. So, looking at my phone right now, what kind of stock that was? Oh, WLFC. WLFC, very good one. Let's go ahead and set up our. We're above, create. So WLFC had a major move, and it was an astonishing, just absolutely perfect setup for this company. So I'm not gonna zoom in any closer than this. This should be perfect. So we can see a very low amount of volume on this stock. And we can also see just a perfect setup for a breakout, right? We can see a beautiful line of resistance, right? That was confirmed once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, and every single time the company started making higher highs. So once it got very close to this line of resistance and stopped making lower lows, it didn't start making lower lows, right? What I wanted to do is I wanted to buy, and I bought right here. And all I did is I just waited for 1 day. Once we look at a 20-day chart, we can see that this is exactly where I bought, and this is exactly where I ended up selling. So it was only a couple of percent. Yeah, it was about 4% profit. But then the following day, what the company ended up doing is it ended up confirming this previous resistance line as a support, and then the following day it skyrocketed by 28%, right? So a lot of potential profit that was missed on by me, totally my mistake. Should have followed my own rules. But again, this is something that you have to constantly practice with, and this is something that I was planning on buying this stock and just doing a day trade with it. That's all I wanted to do. I would have been happy with a couple of $100, which I ended up receiving, which is perfectly fine with me. But at the same time, if you look at the technical analysis, even if you would have waited for a day just to willing to miss out on those profits that you could have received the previous day, this ended up breaking out perfectly. So just another setup of, you know, the company that ended up doing beautifully. So definitely right now it's on the overbought side. I'm not very interested in buying to something that is not at this perfect setup, but I will definitely want us to break down MITT just after we talked about the previous one, actually over here. Just as we talked about that previous company, right? So MITT is a real estate investment trust fund. They pay about, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think it pays more than 6% in dividends, MITT. It pays 10.81% in dividends. Great. So if you look at a 5-year chart, we can see that the company used to trade at about $15 a share. Currently, it's trading at lows. If it's 5-year lows, if you look at their max chart, ever since 2011, the company was hovering around $18 a share. The lowest it's been was at $11, and currently right now it's trading at $4.44. On Yahoo Finance, you can see that it's currently overvalued, but at the same time, the performance outlook is short-term, mid-term, and long-term is pointing up. I'm definitely taking advantage of this company. I'm not planning on selling it anytime soon. I ended up adding to my position right here with the average prices of $3.83. And let me know, by the way, in the comment section if you guys cannot or can see this. And we'll go ahead into more financial breakdown of this, and I can zoom in and show you a little bit better. But we have 551 shares of this company. They pay dividends that got reinvested. If you ever see a position in my portfolio, by the way, with like 551 share points, 48.2, I usually buy 10 or more shares of a particular company, unless it's a very expensive company. And then what I would do is I would, apologize for that. And then what I would do is I would, let me just do this real quick. How did I not set this up? I should have definitely set this up earlier. There we go. All right, so what I would normally do is I would make sure that I reinvest my dividends into the company back. So, all right, so this company, we can see that it started. I'm gonna zoom in on this real quick. Let's look at a 180-day chart, and we're going to go ahead and remove this trend line. This one doesn't apply to us anymore. Remove drawing, and let's make it clear where our line of support is right here. That's good. All right, so we can see this trend line being confirmed as a line of support, right? We can also see higher highs and a lower high at the same time. What I would want to see with this company is I would want to see higher highs, and I would want it to break out above this $4.53. That's where the main line of resistance is. We can see the most consolidation, the most tickers, the most candles being rejected at that level. So you would want to be very, very careful trading it at this level. This is where a majority of the risk comes. It doesn't have any earnings report that is coming out anytime soon, so we're just gonna have to be very, very careful with how we are trading this one. So MITT, great company, 10.81% in dividends. Very good technical analysis. Financial analysis is doing pretty decent. It's a small cap stock, so it's higher risk. They do pay 10% in dividends, which can be literally erased within a couple of days of either gains or losses over a certain period of time. So at the same time, we just gotta have to be very, very careful with how we trade this one. But MITT, great company, just gotta be very careful with this one. So let's go ahead and check something else out. Which one should we talk about? So we talked about MITT. I'm sure NYMT is going to be right here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. So NYMT, another real estate investment trust fund, is doing pretty well. So pays 8.79% in dividends. It was able to recover much quicker than the previous company, MITT, Real Estate Investment Trust Fund. This one has a higher valuation for obvious reasons. So it's been it has a different business model. That's the only reason why MITT wasn't been able to recover as quickly as NYMT. But if we look at NYMT, It's very interesting. Let's go ahead and NYMT, and let's see how well. Again, such a perfect setup too, right? So we can continuously making higher highs. And the only reason why I like this so much is because the patterns they tend to repeat themselves, and they repeat themselves up until a certain level, up until it obviously doesn't have to necessarily repeat itself, but it repeats itself to the point where if you look at it often enough, you would be able to recognize those patterns, and it's easier to trade with further valuations of the companies and stuff like that. So at the same time, we can see higher highs, and the company ended up getting rejected 3 major times at around $2.82. Once it broke above this line of resistance, confirmed it as a support, and continued making higher highs. If you look at a 1-year chart, we can see that the company dropped down to $1.06, right? All the way down here, actually low 0.98. It was able to recover, let's see here, and so from here to here, it was able to recover 351% of its value, 351% of its value within the past year, right? So fantastic recovery. How often do you see that in other stocks besides REITs that are barely recovering right now for obvious reasons because of the low interest rates, and besides the stocks like Tesla or any other EV market? Let's talk about what exactly acted as a catalyst and how we can use this as a rule of thumb for some of our future trends. As long as I personally see that 20-day SMA line crosses 180-day SMA line, I use that as an indicator that the stock is about to break out to the positives, right? So I use that to make myself basically buy into the stock, and use that as a catalyst, and use that as an indicator to get myself into the position of the stock that I want to trade. Swing trade, buy, long-term, hold, whatever. With MITT and with majority of the rest of the real estate investment trust funds, I tend to hold for a while, especially with, and don't mind me doing this, I was just playing around at the very beginning of this year, but I usually hold these for a while, just like I was holding these stocks, and I just kept adding on to the position. And this is also my trading account, so this is not the entire position that I have in my portfolio. And so that's what you were able to see on the thumbnail. It has a screenshot from my account of how much I'm trading with, how much I have to play around with in my trading and my Roth IRA account. But yeah, again, if you guys have any ideas, any other questions about any other companies that you want me to break down, let's go ahead and start talking about those, and don't hesitate to leave a comment. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. So MFA, we talked about MFA so many times. MFA is doing great for us. MFA is bringing us probably the most profit out of all the companies that we talked about. The only thing that I have to warn the investors about is, well, right here, you can actually see this, right? So on Yahoo Finance, you can see that the company used to have a very strong line of resistance back in 1999. So 1999 used to trade at $4.31. Where is it trading right now? $4.18. So it's approaching this line of resistance, multiple year resistance actually, right? So from 98 to 2000. We need to make sure that we are very, very careful, because the profit margin here might not be as great. Basically, we just need to make sure that we trade it carefully, and once it breaks above this line of resistance, then I would expect myself to buy into it some more. But nonetheless, again, pays 7.18% in dividends, $1.89 billion valuation, and this one is an MFA. Boom. So MFA, and you can see right here, long-term. Okay, so I have a long-term position in this one. Yeah, as you can tell right here, I ended up selling some, so I ended up taking off 170 positions here. My average was $2.05 on the buy, and so ever since then I was just holding on to the position, just dollar cost averaging right here. I ended up selling at the same, again, for the same reason why I ended up selling my previous company, just because it approached this line of resistance and I wasn't sure exactly where it's going to go. This earnings report acted as a catalyst, and I wasn't very ecstatic about holding it over the course of this earnings report. But nonetheless, it performed really well. I might actually take a longer, again, more position on the stock. Ended up selling at 405. It's at 421 right now. What I would want to do is I would want to get a little bit closer to 180-day SMA line and then take a position in this stock. But for now, we talked about this one through and through. So if you guys are just joining in, don't hesitate to leave me a comment with a comment of your ticker symbol of the company that you're most interested in, and I can do a financial breakdown on that one. GoPro. Wow, GoPro is doing fantastic. So we talked about GoPro. We wanted to make sure that we follow up on this one. You can also see only one alert here, and the main reason why is because the company, we ended up setting up our alerts for lower lows, which one of them got triggered, but we had multiple different alerts for it to break above 180-day SMA line and above this trend line, which ended up happening exactly as we expected. If you look at a 3-year chart, we are definitely on the overbought side. But what I would want to do is, if I decide to trade this company, which I would not want to do right now just because it had such enormous of a jump of 70% just over the past couple of weeks, what I would want to do is for it to come down to its previous levels of consolidation. All right, we have KMI on the table. Let's go ahead and look at KMI. 1-year chart. So with KMI, it continues to make higher highs. It's trading above 20-day SMA line. 20-day SMA line had barely acted as a support just once, basically right here. In other cases, it did not really act as a resistance, it did not act as a support, did not act as a support here either. So we would want to make sure that we would see a little bit more of green candles on top of green candles before we end up buying into the position. We can also identify a long-term, I guess we should say medium-term line of resistance, which is at about $15.93, which is exactly where we're trading at right now. So the way I would want to trade this one is I would want to make sure that I continue to monitor this one and see if it's going to start making higher highs. What I would want to do is just set up alerts at or above, and we'll set one at or below. And what I also want to do is I would want to move these ones right here and replace, and we'll move this one closer to 180-day SMA line right here. Boom. Perfect. Replace. Awesome. AKR. Wow, AKR is doing great. The only thing is that it continues to, so it just started breaking down and showing us signs of a reversal on the MACD indicator on the bottom. So I would want to be very hesitant on buying this one right now. But again, we literally looked at 3 different companies like this. What a perfect setup, right? We can see so many of these companies are getting set up for this successful breakout to the upside, right? And there's only one thing that you're going to take away from the stream, is that once you're looking at the patterns, this specific pattern right here, right, where the company continues to get rejected, a company's stock price continues to get rejected against a certain price level, but it still continues to make higher highs. You would want to make sure that you pay very, very close attention to that. And again, this strategy has worked tremendously for me, and it's been so successful. I'm very, very happy that that is my main indicator for majority of the companies that I trade. We can see that as soon as it ended up breaking out on the upper side, it ended up going up by 34%. 34%. That is fantastic. So AKR is about to pay dividends here on the 30th of this month. So very cool. AKR. All right. Let's see what else we can find. If you have any companies that you're currently looking at, don't hesitate to share those. Why is dust on this one? Let's check. Okay, so dust is an ETF. So it's Yeah, so we don't necessarily need to look into this one. Pays 2.89% in dividends. I think this one was just for a swing trade. I don't think it was here for a long term. I think one of the viewers ended up suggesting this one as a day trade or a swing trade just because of the beautiful channels that it had, right? So peaks and valleys, and it was definitely a very easy site to witness, to predict, right, where the move is going to be, because it had 42-day move, then it had 35-day move, right? Then it had 46-day move. Then the next peak to peak is 43 days. So every major move was valued at about 35 to 45 days. So very good, very, very good. Next thing that we would want to pay attention to on this specific stock, right? So DUST, we can see on MACD indicator that we can see that both of the arms ended up crossing and starting to point up. The way I would trade this one, if I decide to swing trade or day trade this one, probably swing trade, just because it shows more potential for profit till the next major line of resistance, even though there is a 180-day SMA line which had acted as a support and as a resistance. What I would want to do is I would want to see higher highs. That's basically my main thing that I would want to pay attention to. But higher highs on this one, and I would definitely want it to see start breaking out above 180-day SMA line. If you have any ideas for any of the stocks that you want me to break down, don't hesitate to share those. DFEN, awesome. All right, so DFEN starting to break out above 180-day SMA line. So I really like this one. There's one thing that I would be very, very careful with trading DFEN is the fact that it's approaching this major line of resistance. I apologize, I gotta sleep more. But so this company ended up confirming this price level of about $25 a share as a major line of support, and there's a high potential possibility, right, that this level is going to get rejected as a line of resistance. So just gotta be very careful with this one. We already have our alert set up, and again, this beautiful pattern of upward looking wedge triangle, right? So we're just gonna have to follow up on this one. I would want to see higher highs. I would not want it to. I would want to actually, in a perfect world, I would want it to come down to the consolidation line that it had formed prior over the past couple of months, and then I would want it to get bounced off of that major support, so confirm it as a support, and then continue to make higher highs. The average price at which it was trading at here was about $51 a share. We're currently at $21 a share, so about 50% profit margin. That's great. We talked about IDT last time. IDT is making higher highs. It's doing great. The only thing I would not want to do with this one is invest into it long term, just because it's extremely volatile and it doesn't have a lot of volume. It just seems to be way too manipulative. But in the meantime, it's doing great. So let's move to the next one, which is X. So United States Steel Corporation, USS. And let's go ahead and let's look into this one, United States, Steel Corporation. We have 0.18% in dividends, so almost nothing in dividends. But if we look at a max chart, we can also see that the company used to consolidate at about $19 a share. I would not want it to invest into something that continues to hover over a certain price level, which was confirmed as a resistance or as a support multiple times. So there's not going to be a lot of move for me in this one, not a lot of stake in the game. So I'm not going to be talking about this one for now. And again, next one is going to be British Petroleum. So we talked about BP last time, and let's look at our 180-day chart. Okay, so we are starting to see some signs of a reversal closer to 180-day SMA line. If you look at a previous line of a support, where would we expect to find support at this one? I would say right around this level right here. Let's see. There we go. So as you can tell, we also drew our head and shoulders formation. We were expecting to see either a breakout, or we want to see the continuous drop of lower lows in the stock. And one of two things could have happened, right? It either would have skyrocketed, making higher highs, or it would have started making lower lows. So head and shoulders formation, very common one. And once we saw the break-in pattern, this would act as a catalyst to basically buy into the stock, buy into the shares. The second candle was also a bearish candle. The explanation for that is if we see an enormous, right, big candle, which was about, what was it, 3%? All right, so this was about 11%, but it was also over the course of multiple days. Let's look at a 20-day chart. No, this is not enough. Let's look at let's look at a 180-day chart. Yeah, so you can see right here. So this was the main major move, right? About 29% up with making higher highs, trading above 180-day SMA line. We would want to be very careful with trading this one just because we need to see a little bit more of a confirmation of a support. The next support is expected to be at about this level at which it's trading at right now, but at the same time, we definitely want to consider waiting. So this is what I'm going to be considering. I'm going to consider waiting until 180-day SMA line gets approached by the actual, candlestick chart of this stock, and I would want it to be confirmed as a support before I buy into this. With British Petroleum, it's an interesting company. They do pay dividends. I believe they pay a lot in dividends, like 7% or something like that. Okay, so they pay a little bit less than 5%, so 4.96%. If you look at the max chart, we can see that the company, ever since 2007, kept making lower lows and kept breaking through the major lines of a support. The next major line of a resistance is expected to be at about 28.88, so about $3 higher than the current price of the shares of the stock. So again, if there's enough stake in the game for me in this one, I'll take a position. Nonetheless, I think that there are other companies that are a lot more profitable and show a lot more potential for profit, and we're not going to spend too much time on BP. Next one is going to be ANIK, A-N-I-K. So this company is trading below 180-day SMA line on a 3-year chart. It's approaching this beautiful, again, setup of line of a resistance. It had a lot of support at a level at which I'm showing on the screen right now at about $32.54. The company is, again, trying to confirm this level as a level of consolidation of the price. And actually, before we go any further, does this remind you of anything? We just looked at 3 other companies, MITT, then we talked about IVR, and we talked about NYMT, right? So this beautiful pattern of basically confirming a certain level as a level of resistance and then breaking right above it, right? So 30% move. Enormous, great. So other companies that we talked about might potentially do the same. That's exactly what I'm paying attention to, and yeah, hopefully this is something you guys are doing. If not, let me know in the comment section if you are doing that or not. What works the best for you? And if you have any ideas for any of the stocks you want me to break down, feel free to leave me a ticker symbol and we can talk about those. But in the meantime, ANIK is doing pretty good. I would say the only thing I would want to be careful with is still below 180-day SMA line, and it's below this trend line that we identified before. So it's not on the overbought nor it's on the oversold position, right? So at 48.61, so literally right on the middle of the RSI indicator. MACD indicator is pointing slightly up. I like how the blue arm is above the yellow arm right here. That means that short term it's pointing up, which is great. Let's go ahead and set our alerts for this one, because this is one of those companies that actually ended up making lower lows over the past couple of weeks. So at or below, and at or below. Perfect. Let's go ahead and set up one more that is closer to major line of a support right here, at or below. All right, GSK seems like it's pushing up. Okay, great. So we confirmed this line as a line of support, our previous trend line, but not for long. We ended up confirming this line as a major support and ended up pushing above it. We saw a move of about 8.5, almost 9% on the stock. I love that 20-day SMA line is pointing up. I don't necessarily like that we are still trading below 180-day SMA line on a 1-year chart. Let's go ahead and look at a 3-year chart. Yeah, so a company, yes, is still under this major trend line that acted as a resistance. So we're not going to spend too much time doing this one. I don't see too much value in this up until it actually consolidates and shows me that it's ready for, higher highs. Cold seems to be a little bit overbought, so not the most exciting company right now. WLFC, we talked about this one. This is exactly the day trade that I made. Currently trading slightly on the overbought levels for me. Not very interested, but it was due for the company to actually start recovering. So 64% lost during the Rona situation, and then ended up going up by, let's see here, 130% from its lows. We can also see EVRG that is doing pretty good too. This company is trading above, finally, for the first time in how long? In about a year, above this trend line, right? It hasn't existed for long enough in order to show a 180-day SMA line weaving through these candlesticks, but I would want to see more consolidation here. Way too volatile for a long-term play. But at the same time, right, it's such a beautiful setup too, because we identified our lines of resistance and our lines of support, and for the first time it finally broke above this line of resistance, which is usually a very good sign, very good indicator for buyers. So this one we talked about. Then /CL overbought, not very interested. Let's look at JNUG. We don't really trade JNUG. JNUG ended up dropping down significantly. T-Mobile is continuing to do good. Long-term investment is pretty good in this one. The only thing is that it's way on the overbought side. Not very interested in this one. Alibaba is doing well. I just like Alibaba, and I have invested into this company, so I'm just holding on to some of the positions here. But again, nothing too ecstatic. It does offer a decent potential for profit up until the next resistance, the highest resistance it's ever been, and about 14% up until the next major resistance. Support is, let's see how low support is. It's about, again, 15% down to 180-day SMA line. And another actually major support is pretty much at the levels at which we were able to confirm it as a support, right around here. If I would have been day trading this one, actually, let me rephrase that. If I would have been swing trading this one, if I would have been interested in doing such a thing, that might have been a pretty good time to invest into something. The only thing I would want to do is I would want to wait for MACD indicator to start showing up and pointing up with higher highs. But actually, I would want to follow up on Alibaba. Alibaba is a great company. I think the business is awesome, and being personally investing into this, obviously biased. At or above, and boom, create an alert at or below. Sweet. And if you guys have any ideas for any of the companies that you want me to break down, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section. All right, Alibaba, QQQ. All right, VOO. Yeah, so VW. Okay, let's talk about VOO real quick. And let's talk about interest rates. Let's just kind of zoom out and look at a bigger picture and see what we can expect from the markets. So this is our max chart in VOO. Ever since 2010, index fund came out, right? So Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, not index fund, I apologize, ETF, came out, started tracing S&P 500, pays about 1.52% in dividends. And we can see continuously making higher highs and following this trend line, right? If we, and I'm gonna draw it on the on Thinkorswim platform, but if you look at this chart, can we see a trend line that began back in 2016, which we are approaching right now, right at about $359 a share and then $177 a share. So that's more than double, slightly more than double of the previous very major line of support. So we continuously see this making higher highs, right, even with peaks and valleys, but finally it's getting to the point where it's forming a very strong trend line. How would I trade this one? Would I want to buy something into in the markets that are so extremely overvalued in comparison to basically any other asset out there, right? We can even talk about gold. We can talk about valuation of silver. We can talk about, which I do think that overpriced cryptocurrencies are, how Bitcoin is approaching with $62,000. I'm actually really curious to see what it's at right now. But lots of changes that are happening within this year, especially with the recovery of majority of the stocks, to include REITs. Even though, all right, so. At the time of recording this video, Coinbase is having some issues. We'll have to follow up on that a little bit later. But yeah, again, if you're just tuning into the stream, don't hesitate to leave a comment with the companies that you want me to break down, and we can talk about those some more. Let's go ahead. What else should we talk about? Okay, well, we wanted to talk about interest rates, right? Let's go ahead and do interest rate chart. And let's go ahead and mortgage rates. Nope, not this one, not this one, not this one, no. There we go, perfect. Okay, so our 30-year fixed mortgage rates averaging United States is going up, so making higher highs. All right, so if we look at the historic trend line, right? So every single time we see a little bit of an increase, we can also see a drop, right? During the recession time, a slight increase and then usually a drop. But the problem in this case is that there's not much more room for a drop. We're basically at 2.65%. I mean, we still have 2.65% to play with, but at the same time, 1980, so 40 years ago, we were at 18.28%. And to be fair, we can look at 1987, which was what, 36 years ago. Sorry, not 36 years ago. 32 years ago. So 32 years ago, we were at 9.43%, and over the past 32 years, we ended up losing about 70% of the interest rates that we can play with. So we just got to be very, very careful with investing into majority of our stocks, bonds, ETFs long term. We're gonna have to do follow-ups on this and just be a little bit more active than we normally would be just at this time again. Yeah, interest rates are going up. What I usually do is I go on Veterans United interest rates. Interest rate, and I usually just click on their main website and it shows me the interest rate at which veterans would be able to get loans, basically. So in this case, 2.875%. Just a couple of days ago, prior to this week on a Friday, it was 2.75%, and I've seen this dip above, dip actually below 2.75 for a couple of months, up until 2.27. 2.25% was the lowest that I've seen here, and 2.875 it's still pretty low in comparison to some other years that we had here at 4 or 5, almost 5% valuation, right? What is it? 4.99? Is it 4.94? We still have to be very, very careful with interest rates potentially going up, and VOO showing us that we're on the overbought position, right? So there has to be some sort of rebalancing of the assets that has been saved up by the companies. We can also see that companies like Tesla hold majority of the value, majority of the money for basically out of S&P 500. Let's look into S&P 500 companies chart. And let's see if we can find something. Let's see if we can find like a visual representation of how much money is being held by every single one of the companies. And that should give us an idea of how either fair or not fair the valuation is. Hopefully this will load. If it doesn't load, then it doesn't load. Alright, fine. Let's look into the next one. And if you guys have any ideas for any of the other companies that you want me to break down, don't hesitate to share those. Finwiz, well, I'll get back to you. Finwiz, S&P 500. Yeah, so first couple of stocks I haven't been able to find a chart, but I believe that about 30 or 40% of S&P 500 is being taken over by just a few companies, like 4 or 5 companies. I'm sure that Microsoft, Google, Apple, and I'm sure that Tesla is one of them. All right, and Amazon. Yeah, so don't see valuations here. Yeah, don't see visuals on Investopedia. All right, fine. We'll just close that. Another thing that I wanted to do is actually look into something. Consumer price index for all urban consumers, all items. Real gross domestic products. Let's look into this one. Oh wow, so much volatility. Yeah, definitely very volatile. I think we should just get back to finding valued stocks, and then we can make basically a list of stocks that we talked about. All right, let's look into REITs some more. Actually, let's do something different. And I have not done this before, so REITs list, and let's do this. FPI. So I'm assuming this is a ticker symbol, FPI. All right, let's look at a max chart. So small cap company, small cap stock. Okay, we see a ton of valuation, so way overvalued. Not very interested in this one. So for those reasons, I'm not going to be breaking down this one. But let's go ahead and look into, let's scroll down, actually, PK. I've never seen PK. All right, wow, yeah, okay, so pays 20% in dividends. All right. Max chart looks great. See, at beginning of 2020, just ended up trading at $23 a share. Ended up tanking, absolutely tanking, losing about 60% their value, and then was able to successfully recover. This has existed since 2017. Let's see if actually Yahoo Finance shows us something different that we are not familiar with. Hilton. Let's look at Hilton. How are we doing with Hilton? Okay, Hilton was able to fully recover. Awesome. Let's see what else we have. PK, WH. Okay, is this WH? It is WH. Okay, so Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, WH, was able to fully recover. Great. Let's look into this one. Stay. Nope. Fully recovered. Majority of these are fully recovered. SHO. Fully recovered. Actually, SHO, didn't check that one. But didn't download. There we go. Maximum chart. This was ever since 2006. Yeah, we can definitely see a lot of moves here, a lot of peaks and valleys, but lots of consolidation at around the same level. So not very interested in this, but I'm glad that we were able to follow up on the stocks that we talked about during our last stream. And yeah, let's go ahead and let's actually go ahead and click on maybe a few more, and then if we don't find anything, let's go to Yahoo Finance and see, or sorry, let's go to Finwiz and see if we can find any companies with better trend lines, and yeah, we should be able to find lots of value in that. I definitely want us to find at least 1 or 2 companies that we want to be following up on shortly. All right, 2 overvalued. This probably didn't update right yet. Let's see. Everything is doing great. Everything is recovering. Let's see. This is good. Oh wow, this lost a lot of valuation. Some of these companies are just tanking. Okay, this one is interesting. So NRIX. And if you guys have an IRX, right? That's what I said. An RIX. And if you guys have any ideas for any of the companies that you want me to break down, don't hesitate to share those and we can break those down for sure. Alright, so this one is interesting for a day trade or for a swing trade. And is it going to be a long-term or a short-term swing trade? About 70 days or a short-term swing trade. So we can see that the company is currently trading at $33 a share. We can see this major drop. I wonder what acted as a catalyst to bring the, what kind of news acted as a catalyst to bring the stock price of this company down so much. I'm assuming it's about 40%, 30.5%. So what I would want to do if I decide to swing trade this company, definitely seems to be on the undervalued side. And what I would want to do is I would want to see higher highs. I would want to see a little bit more consolidation in the perfect world. With these big candles, they tend to just have like a waterfall and you never know where it's really going to stop. It was supposed to have just, level off and just consolidate and maybe potentially show a reversal at a 20-day SMA line, blew right past that the following day, ended up closing at $33 a share. So just gotta be very careful with these ones. Still on the undervalued side, the only reason that I would want to stay away from this one is just because it's not showing any signs of a reversal. We can barely see MACD indicators crossing its arms, but it's still not pointing up. We can see RSI indicator on the oversold, but at the same time we can also identify lower levels at which it was trading at on the RSI indicator right here, right? So $24 is still at the same level of RSI. So it's going to be, again, very careful with this one. I would like to follow up on this and set my alerts and see how it's going to do. But once it actually goes above this level, I would want to monitor it a little bit closer. But up until then, I'm just going to stay away for this one. On or below, create, and let's go ahead and at or below. Perfect, there we go. All right. If you guys are just tuning in, don't hesitate to leave a comment with the companies that you want me to break down, and we're going to add those to the list of the companies that we see value in, and we can follow up on those a little bit later. JDST, why does this one sound so familiar? JDST. Oh, that's a beautiful pattern. JDST. All right, Take It Back, not a very good long-term investment because obviously it continues to go down. This is probably an ETF of some sort. It's a very common to see these kinds of stocks, these kinds of companies. Just it's not a. I don't think it's a company. What is what REITs are you following? Came in late. Oh yeah, we'll follow up on that. RPT, UBA. Oh, we'll look into those, but so the ones that I follow are MITT, so MITT and NYMT for the most part. So those are the ones that I see the most value in. There's also IVR too. So IVR is one of the most popular ones that is getting ready for a breakdown on the upside or downside. We can see NYMT has already broken up, like out of the main line of resistance. And we can also see, where's my MITT? I haven't added it. MITT is still undervalued, so I'm constantly monitoring this one. Let's get a 3-year chart. See how it ended up dropping down in value by about, what, 83%. Still wasn't able to recover. And during this stream, we just talked about how beautiful this specific setup is. It makes... it shows basically where the line of resistance is and just balances off of that. So just waiting for a line of resistance to be broken out of. How come I don't have any alerts set up at or above? There we go. And yeah, absolutely. And RPT. Nice. Yeah, if you've been sitting in this one for a while, good for you. I love the fact that it's trading above 180-day SMA line. If I'd be out, probably prepare for like a little drop to the 180-day SMA line, confirm it as a support, and then next line of resistance is going to be 34%. So you should be fine. Very good growth, awesome growth. We can see I think NYMT actually was able to recover similarly, and it got to 180-day SMA line. That's why I'm not buying into this one just yet. I think my average was 3.72. Yeah, so pretty high up, so right around here. And which one is it? UBA? Yeah, see, UBA, very, very dangerous, I guess, situation. That's awesome. So very close to a major line of resistance, right? So 180-day line of resistance and multiple year line of resistance. So confirm this as a support, confirmed as a support. Approaching that, you just saw a big red candle. I think I saw that on some of my stocks as well on a Friday, but at the same time, nothing to worry about as long as you're holding on to it for a while, for a long term. So, and I wonder if UBA actually pays dividends. Let's check that. I believe they do. If it's a REIT, they would have to. Yeah, 3.24% in dividends. That's awesome. If you look at the max chart, yeah, approaching this line of consolidation at which it was trading at for a while. So $16 a share, $18 a share. That's awesome. Good one. Very good recovery, especially from the bottoms of 2020. We can also look at the ones that we just talked about. So NYMT. So yours pays 3-something%. This one pays 8.79%. And we have MITT that pays 10.81% in dividends. And there's one more, which is IVR. So IVR pays 8% in dividends. So, all right, cool. But yeah, if you have any other ideas, feel free to share those. I'll be happy to break those down. Let's go ahead and see what else we can find. Actually, I think usually Yahoo Finance gives you a suggestion on new ETF. So RPT. And let's look into this list right here. All right, so this one we talked about. Acadia, we talked about, no, we did not talk about BFS. What is this? So smaller cap, was able to recover, approaching main trend line, pays 5.36% in dividends. Not the best one. CDR, let's look into this one. Continues making lower lows, seems like it's starting to make higher highs, and finally broke out of this trend line. What was this? 2016. 1.76% in dividends, very low cap, so $200 million valuation. Used to trade at about the average, I'd say $65 a share, but ever since 2008 it was never able to fully recover, so just gotta be careful with this. Let's look into UBA real quick. Yeah, let's look into those here in a second. Okay, yeah, we talked about UBA, sweet. All right, SO. That's not the one. SO. There we go. Okay, Southern Company. Yeah, I'm familiar with this one. Yeah, definitely a good company, has been doing very well. I cannot say anything about it. And I'll show something that I'm closely monitoring in this one, but 4.29% in dividends. I mean, that's hard to beat, especially with such a growth and low volatility. We'll look with SO. So you see this trend line right here. I'm sure you can see it. Yeah, right around here. And whereas our major line of resistance is going to be right here, which was confirmed as a line of support prior to that. So that's good. So we're trading below this major line of resistance. So what would potentially be a good, I guess, as I should say, what should happen within the next couple of months, right? What would you expect to happen? So two options, either a major confirmation of a support at around 180-day SMA line, or confirmation of the next higher high, which would act as a resistance, right? We would expect that to happen. I actually have only one share of this, and the reason why I have this one share is because I sold out of my position on my trading account. But yeah, very beautiful setup, especially for a swing trade. Long-term investing into this one also can be great too. I mean, the company has existed for such a long time and it was doing really, really well. It almost feels like it's about to actually break out and continue making higher highs. We can see this level being confirmed as a resistance multiple times. That's awesome. I actually want to add SO to my watch list. This one is a good one. Yeah, awesome. Southern Company, cool, cool, cool. SM. All right, let's look into different chart. 0.12% in dividends. It doesn't have a lot of. Okay, so very volatile. Doesn't pay a lot of dividends. Mid-cap stocks are $2 billion valuation, just over $2 billion valuation. Yeah, pretty volatile. I would be very careful with holding on to this one for a while because ever since 2014 started making lower lows. I'm sure, and I wonder what kind of pattern day trader or swing trader you are, because with long-term investing, this would probably not be the best investment just because of multiple levels of resistance that are going to see you meet you within like next couple of years if it continues making higher highs. So just gotta be very careful with this one. But very cool. SM, interesting. And it just skyrocketed about 14% in one day. Nice. Let's see what else ended up skyrocketing in CPE. Yeah, so another one too. Usually Yahoo Finance gives you a suggestion on the companies that you're looking up, and it shows you a similar pattern, similar companies. So this one was showed a major line of a support at about $4? About $4.87 a share back in 2009. Actually, no, about $17. Wow, this is a lot of volume, a lot of price. Wow, so $4 or $6 valuation, continued making lower lows ever since 2016. Finally broke out of the line of like the trend line of resistance and started to make higher highs. Very interesting. Still on the oversold side, but multiple year lines of resistance are approaching. So 1992, we can see 2002, we can see 2009. But for the most part, the company used to trade way higher, right? So the hundreds of dollars more than it currently is trading. CPE, very interesting. CPE. And let's look at a different chart. So 3-year chart. We talked about this one. I think we did. No, this is CPT. This one is CPE. There we go. Finally. Okay. Okay, so it's approaching this 180-day SMA line. This is what this red candle is there for. But okay, very, very cool. Ended up reporting $1 per share of their earnings report. The trend line, let's draw a trend line real quick and see what kind of resistance we've seen here. Yeah, so we've seen a lot of resistance at this trend line. Finally ended up confirming the floor, ended up making higher highs. The way I would trade this one is I would want to wait up until it goes above 180-day SMA line and then potentially take a position into this one. This would be a good swing trade, day trade with 600% gain, but way on the overbought side for me right now. So BAC, I have Bank of America. That's awesome. I do like the fact that we talked so much about this pattern on the stream right here. So we can see confirmation of the resistance, making higher highs, and finally breaking out and making higher highs and making new lines of resistance, right? So 33% up after this pattern. So just my favorite pattern. We talked about this a bunch during the stream. But thanks for all the suggestions. That's awesome. SJT. I don't think I've ever looked at SJT. 3-year chart. Nice. Okay, I like that. So it's finally trading above 180-day SMA line. Beautiful confirmation of a resistance of it, and then confirmation of a support with multiple green candles on multiple levels of higher highs. Perfect. I love that. Let's dig a little bit more into it. SJT. So small cap, okay, 9.87% last time, like yesterday's change, sorry, Friday's change, pays 15% in dividends, okay. Very, very interesting. Look at a max chart, okay, no, we don't want to look at this one. If you look at a max chart right here, we can see that the company used to trade at about $6 a share for a very long time, ever since 1985 basically, had its peaks and valleys, but at the same time, it was valued at $48 a share at some point. So I'm assuming it has something, yeah, okay, so this is a REIT, right? This is a REIT. It is, okay. Very, very interesting valuations. I like the fact that it finally broke out of this trend line and is just showing to us that it's about to start breaking out on the upper side. So, and you know, one thing that I noticed over the past couple of years of trading and just following up on all these stocks and companies and overall valuations, it's done by, majority of the trades are done by machines, right, by software. And when you see that there is a reversal pattern, then usually a bunch of money gets dumped into it, just like they saw a final breakout, and the increase of the valuation of the company is just skyrocketed, right? But very, very cool. I think this is my favorite one so far. SJT, very cool. I am going to actually add SJT to my buy list. SJT. Oh, not this keyword. SJT, and we have valuation at about 3.68. Okay, 3.68. No, 423. Very cool. And I'll put a couple exclamation points. That's awesome. All right, sweet. Thank you for suggestion. That's a very good company. I like that. Let's go ahead and set up our alerts and at or above, and let's do at or below. And let's set up next one above previous highs and see where the trend line is going to lead us to. And we'll set up one that is on the 20-day SMA line and below 180-day SMA line. Perfect. Awesome. Very cool one. SJT. 15% up. 15% in dividends. That is probably the highest I've seen this week. Yeah, that's awesome. 9.87% on a Friday. Definitely making lower. Wow, very interesting company. Cool, thanks. Yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to share. I feel like you're giving out some gems here. Let's see what BPT is. Okay, so BPT is doing a very similar thing, except it continues to make higher highs from $1 to $4 valuation, but it still has a long way to go till the previous price. So at 5 year, ever since 2018, started making lower lows. Not very interested in this one. This looks pretty promising. This doesn't look bad at all. SBR, didn't you? SBR, somebody said SBR last time. I think we talked about this one. SBR. Oh wow, and just dipped. Yeah, wow. So we did not talk about this one. I don't see any alerts, any drawings on this one. That's exactly why I love doing these live streams. So let me take a sip. And by the way, if you're watching, don't hesitate to smash that like button. It's going to promote the video so more people can see it. I'd appreciate that. Thank you, and subscribe for more. All right, so with 180-day SMA line being confirmed as a support multiple times right here, being confirmed as a support right here the second time, and we can see a lot of consolidation at this level right here. The company continues making higher highs ever since October of 2020. I love the fact that it's still trading above 180-day SMA line, which is still pointing up. 20-day SMA line is pointing down, but at the same time, we can see RSI indicators on the oversold side, MACD indicator still pointing down. So I would not be very interested in taking a position right now, but in the perfect world, I would want to see more consolidation, confirmation of this level as a resistance, as a support, and then continuation of it making higher highs. I love the fact that it has this trend line that we can follow right around here. And what I would want to do of it, I'm going to set up our alerts at or above. and at or above, and we'll set up at or below, and at or below. There we go. Awesome. Sweet. Okay, look at a 3-year chart. We can see that from the current price up until the next major line of resistance, we have about 19%. And then we can see that it has about 24% up until 180-day SMA line. Very, very cool. I like that we found this one. Let's see what else we can use as an identification of how we wouldn't want to trade this one. So I like this, oops, not that. I like this line as a line of a resistance, just because we saw a lot of consolidation here. We saw a lot of rejection here. Therefore, I would expect to see more confirmation as a support at about this level. I would definitely want to closely monitor this one, but SBR, very interesting. Let me add this one to SBR. SBR, very cool. Gosh, we're on the streak. I love how Yahoo Finance starts suggesting you all of these different stocks, and all of a sudden you're finding all of these gems. So all it takes is just one person to give suggestions. So thank you very much, Marcos. Very cool. Yeah, so we can see a lot of consolidation here. We can see multiple day consolidation. So ever since 16th up until 19th of this month, 3 days of consolidation. Very large red candle on a Friday, so about 1.44%. Not a ginormous change, but again gets rejected by this 180-day SMA line. You gotta be careful with this one. Careful trading this one, especially for a long-term investment, or for a short-term investment, just because it's trading below 180. But long-term, it looks promising. I like this. I like the fact that it's still way below the previous price at which it used to trade for a while. The only thing that I'm hesitant about on these kinds of companies is that we can see increased volume here, but it does not have a lot of volume. It has $439 million valuation, and we can see lots of volatility. We can see 2008, everything was extremely overvalued, but even here after 2008, we can see from $63 to $39 to $60, back down to $26, and it wasn't really able to hold there for too long. But yeah, ever since 2016, $26 floor is a very good support for it. So trading at the price at which it's trading right now, $30, it's not overbought. So very cool. Thank you for that suggestion. 8.41% in dividends, very cool too. Very, very cool. No problem. What are the other thoughts on EPD? I think I saw on Monday pre-market. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one in a second. Yeah, lower lows, not very interested in this one. MTR. EPD. I feel like EPD. Why does this one sound so familiar? Very interesting. Okay, let's look EPD. Let's look closer. But let's look at valuation. So 8% in dividends. Very cool. Wow, that's very, very good. Gosh, these dividend companies are just booming right now. It was able to recover successfully for, what is it, 20% or 50% of its value? Let's look at it real quick. So back in 2020, lost about 53%, so half of its value. Ended up recalling about 78% of its value, recouping 78% of its value. That's awesome. So if you're thinking about selling on Monday pre-market hours, I mean, up to you. Here's my idea on this. So you are approaching this very strong level of resistance, right? Multiple year level of resistance. Right here, we can confirm it twice and confirm this level as, confirmed it as a support and just confirmed this level as a resistance also twice. Saw this very large red candle. What you have to ask yourself is, how long are you going to be buying this for and holding on to the stock for? So usually what I tend to do is I try to hold on to everything for a long term. And the price at which the company used to trade is about 25. We can easily say it was $28 a share. Ever since 2016, right, we saw a lot of peaks and valleys here. But it's still, so what did we say, $28 a share? Let's see. Let's look at a different chart real quick. From previous price to $28 a share. Yeah, 28.80. We have about 30% profit margin. Are there any companies that you have in your portfolio that you're watching that are going to produce hopefully more than 30-something% in value with what is this, 8%? 8% in dividends? There's not too many companies that I know of that are very beneficial and show a lot of potential for profit. You've already seen a big red candle on a Friday, right? So we can see that it's starting to go up just a little bit, so recouping its prices in the aftermarket hours. Very interesting. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad time to sell just based on the technical analysis, just because it's showing us that it's still trading within this trend line. So I'll show you. I guess I should have visualized that. And it's not breaking out of this channel just yet, and it's just being rejected by this level. So it makes sense to sell if you're a swing trader, or if you're a day trader. But at the same time, if you're trying to hold on to it for a long term, it might not be such a bad of an idea. It is on the overbought side, especially on the RSI indicator. We can also see MACD indicator, but you can see also higher highs. That is perfectly healthy that the company got rejected by the previous line of resistance and still within this trend line. What I would be afraid of is, or I shouldn't say afraid of, like, this is not an emotional thing. This would be more so an indicator to potentially sell, is if the price of the stock actually dips below this trend line. And you can use, if I would be you, I would be using 20-day SMA line, which you can see on the screen right now, as a guide to when I would want to sell, because it has been confirming that level as a support multiple times. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, not your financial advisor. You don't have to listen to me. This is for entertainment purposes only. So just sharing my ideas and thoughts on how I usually trade on this one. But EPD, very interesting. Let's look at the bigger chart. I actually do want to look at this chart real quick. What was your, at which price level did you end up buying EPD that you want to sell? If you're profiting on this, that's awesome. If you're still below the current price, like I mean, I would expect it to go up in the future to the previous $27 a share. So very cool. So 23 is a major line of resistance. You have multiple here resistance, and it does make sense if you're a swing trader to potentially sell before it gets fully rejected by this line. But at the same time, if you're a day trader, there's so much money that gets if you're a long-term investor, there's so much money that gets pumped into the markets right now that it's hard to justify selling stocks that haven't been able to fully recover to its previous levels. So being a devil's advocate, you can look at VOO or S&P 500 and see how high those valuations are, and what I think is going to happen within. Yeah, absolutely. Entered at 17. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you're making a buck on this. So depending on your position size, I mean, good timing, very good timing. $17. I cannot even catch that. Such a big jump, quick jump. I mean, yeah, nice. I mean, that's awesome. 17 to 22, yeah, that's a good gain. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we have stocks that, like Tesla, we talk about Microsoft, we talk about Apple, Amazon, and they hold 50% of the S&P 500 valuation, right? And what's happening right now is you can see that Tesla is dropping in value, and other companies like EPD, right, like all of the rest of the real estate investment trust funds, like airline companies, cruise line companies, hotel companies, like Hilton, and a lot of other companies are getting all of that money that was in the EV market getting injected back into real estate investment trust funds, just because the interest rates are going to continue being low. People are expecting to have higher growth within the next couple of years. Interest rates would eventually have to go up, so that's the mentality that I think majority of the investors like me have off of the the expectations that we have off of the REITs. But Tesla. So yeah, Tesla is I mean, again, still overvalued. I like the company, I like the stock. The thing is, I don't really like too much volatility here. You can see me playing around with this, but again, should have held on to my position. We can see it getting rejected by a 20-day SMA line, and it. Let me show you a better chart. So if you can imagine, this kind of reminds me of a inverted cup and handle formation. So you can see a cup and a handle that gets rejected. So everything is pointing down. We have our RSI indicator that is not necessarily on the overbought nor it's on the oversold side. But if you look at the MACD indicator, it's still pointing down. 20 and 180 day SMA line still pointing down. If I'm still investing into companies that were still able to grow so much over the past year, I would definitely want to wait to see if it's going to continue the trend and if it's going to continue reevaluate the markets, take out the money out of one place and put it into another. So all right, again, this is something that I constantly monitor because it's such a great pattern, and we can see it in a lot of different REITs, especially with, I think, MITT. We'll take a look at it in a second. But this line right here, we started our stream with this specific chart, which is the flag pattern, right? So once the company stock continues to make lower highs and higher highs and higher lows, and it gets rejected by the same exact level, then it finally, once you close this triangle, it has to break out either up or down, and usually it's a very bullish pattern, and it's just great. I love using this as an indicator of why I think I should buy into the company, and we saw about 30% gain on Tesla after this specific chart, so after this specific consolidation. There's one that I actually didn't look at, which was T-Mobile, AT&T with ticker symbol T, and I do want to, I'm constantly contemplating about taking a higher position to this one. I think I sold half of my position here. I had 100 shares of AT&T. Average price, I think, is $29.26 at $29.76. So I barely make any money on this, but the company pays dividends and existed for a very long time. Lots of volatility over, actually not a lot of volatility, not a crazy amount of volatility, but 6.93% in dividends, and it's approaching lines of a support, which is at $26.94 and about $25 and $23 a share. So over multiple years, it was confirming this level of trade as a line of support. And again, the company existed for a while. It has it's a world-renowned brand. Pays 7% in dividends. It has been making lower lows ever since 2017, had its peaks and valleys, but it seems like it's been consolidating over the past year at about this level of $29.50 a share, about $29 actually, confirmed it as a support multiple times, and now seems to be breaking out with a 20-day SMA line pointing up. So one of those companies that I'm following up on and definitely want to be invested into it for long term once I see a little bit more consolidation and higher highs at or above. So yeah, very cool. Yeah, if you have any other ideas for any other companies that you're monitoring, don't hesitate to share those. And let's look into some other ones. With a 5-year chart on Coca-Cola. Yeah, I mean, you can't say anything bad about Coca-Cola. It has been doing so well. 3.31% in dividends. Continues to make higher highs. $200 billion valuation. Insane. What I want to do is actually SJT. When you pointed out at SJT, I wanted to look at some other ones that are similar to that and see what Yahoo Finance can suggest to us. All right, BPT. I don't think we looked into this one. Very small cap stock, a little bit of volume. Lower lows ever since 2012. At its lowest value right now at $4.53. Still a lot of potential for profit, but at the same time, just continues making lower lows. I'm hesitant on investing to something that just continues making lower lows. Very interesting though. I'm curious because it's finally starting to have these higher highs, and you know it's finally consolidating. But even after this major drop, it was not able to recover since 2016. So I'm gonna skip on this one. There's a lot of other companies that I would be interested in besides this one that shows more potential for profit. In 1999, 11% in dividends, has been making lower lows. Just with the interest rates going down, is just it's not surprising why the companies like this have been going down in value. So NRT maximum chart, sounds like it's finally showing some signs of a reversal. Only $40 million valuation with very small cap, 6.5% in dividends. Max chart ever since 2006 starting to make lower lows. If we're gonna look at the small cap stocks, we might as well just look at tiny ones, like super tiny companies, and see how much potential for profit they show us. 3.54%. No, not very interested. $9.8 million company. Wow, that's super small. All right. 430 million. Okay, yeah, we talked about this one so many times already. MTR, lower lows. Why does this one? Okay, so it's finally showing us some signs of a reversal. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so this is a 3-year chart too. All right, let's look at the major trend line that we had over the past couple of years. This is good enough. This is not perfect, but good enough. It'd probably actually be a little bit higher. So we can see one trend line, and oh, this one is perfect. Okay, the second trend line. We can see this channel in between which we would expect the company's price to be bouncing off of a resistance level and a support level. So it's still within this channel, and while it's still in this channel, I would still expect it to have a lot of downward pressure on this company's price of the stock. At the same time, what I would want to do is if I decide to trade this one, I would want it to get up to levels of above 180-day SMA line, which would probably be around here at the point if it continues to go up, and then higher highs. But MTR, not the best one. We've seen better. We've seen better. All right. $6.12 in 1991. This existed for a while. $5.43, 15%. Oh, that's SGT. God, we talked about this one. I should look at the ticker symbol. I was just about to get excited about that one. All right. Let's go into FinWiz, and let's monitor some other ones, and yeah, let's see if we can get some other companies here. Very cool companies. Thank you so much for sharing those, and don't forget to smash the like button below. Wow, what a plug. What a subtle plug. All right, this one is not very good. Low volume, too volatile. PRGO. What I want to find is I want to ascending triangle. I want to look at ascending triangle, and I would want to wait for a breakout. And let's see, is there anything exciting for us? RNOM. This channel looks pretty good, pretty promising. UTMD. All right, we got some volume on this. That's good. Let's look at a 1-year chart. Okay, that was very close to 1-year chart. This looks like a very good swing trade and a day trade actually. All right, if we look at the trend lines, we can see that it continues to make higher highs. It has its peaks, it had its valleys. We saw a large drop, which was only about a 6% drop. Okay, interesting. We're still trading below 180-day SMA line, which is pointing down. We have a 20-day SMA line, which is continuing to point up. If I would want to trade this one, UTMD, actually, let's see how I would trade this one. Okay, so this one is a medical, Utah Medical Products. Okay, so max chart. Okay, so it's been doing well. It just had these two. Okay, see, this is exactly why it's so important to look at a larger scale chart. Has been doing well over the past 20 years, pretty much. But it had its two major lines of resistance, right? So at $107 and $110 in 2018, 2019. Do we show a lot of potential for growth here? About 30% potential for growth. Are there any other companies that pay us a little bit more dividends and show higher percent for growth? When it comes to finding companies that are not real estate investment trust funds, then you would have a hard time finding something that shows a decent growth over the past 2 decades, pays dividends, and shows a lot of potential for profit up until the next major line of resistance. But at the same time, if we decide to trade this one, oh gosh, what a perfect, again, triangle. I wish I can draw on this, but again, a triangle ever since 2013 and 2016 for 3 years, and then confirmation of that as a support, and then just enormous growth. Awesome. Yeah, is there any other companies that we would want to see go up with, besides real estate investment trust funds, that show potential for profit that is higher than this one? Hard to find, but there are some, and I think we indicated those on our chart and our list here. Hello again, I'm doing good. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right, I know it's been a second, but don't hesitate to share some of the stocks that you had found over the past couple of weeks. It's been a while, so don't forget, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, invest in drugs and technology. Heck yeah, lots of volatility. That's awesome. Good for you. Yeah, if there are any stocks that you're specifically looking into right now, don't hesitate to share those. And right now we're just browsing over some of the companies that are out there, and just show us some potential for profit. So let's see. Again, this is approaching lines of resistance. Nothing too exciting. 3.87% in dividends. SYBM. Everything seems to be okay. Everything that is getting suggested to us is on the overbought level, so we're not going to waste too much time doing that. Let's continue searching for our stocks that we can see here within the triangle channel. I was going to ask you anything I should buy. Hey, I'm not a financial advisor, cannot suggest what you should or could buy, but I will share my watch list here in a second. Let's click onto the second page. And okay, so SVC, I don't think we looked into this one. SVC. And hey, by the way, while we were looking into this one, I'm getting excited about this one. You can see the watch list on the left-hand side. So if there are any other ones that look familiar or interesting to you, you can call out the ticker symbol. I'll go over them real quick. But most exciting ones are IVR, MFA, MIT, and NYMT. So actually from second to fifth. So SVC, sorry if that was loud. Let's add this one to our watch list. So Control Z. Let's do SVC. Awesome. So I'm just building up a different watch list of the stocks that we were able to find. And so far it's been, let me add this to our group chats. So undervalued. Look how I cannot type. There we go. So we talked about MITT. Talked about NYMT. We talked about SBR, SVC, SBR, SVC, and we talked about one more, which was SJT, which is an exciting one. SJT. Boom, there we go. All right, so The main reason why I'm getting excited about this one is because it's showing us this triangle, this pattern of making higher highs and getting rejected by the same exact level. So this one is a very exciting one. I believe pays dividends. SVC. Let's look. It has to be a REIT. SVC. Yeah, so it's a real estate investment. Actually, no. Properties trust. Yeah, it has to be a real estate investment trust fund. So they lowered their interest that they pay in dividends over the past couple of months. I'm assuming so, but company used to trade at about $22, $23 a share. It had a ginormous drop ever since 2006 to 2008, back down to about $10 a share, which we're trading above currently, which is perfect. So we would not expect that to be a problem as a resistance. Let's see. We have, yeah, I'll go over those real quick. And I like the fact that we are going to expect this to break above 180 days. Break above this line of resistance, and we're definitely following up on this one at or below, and at or below. So at or below. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, we talked about this one stock that I did only one day trade last week, because I usually try to focus on a long-term swing trades or basically just investing, long-term investing. I'm seldomly day trading. I'm more of a value investor. I'm very, very spoiled with the stocks that I'm currently buying. So that's what I'm going to share with you right now. There's one stock that I was able to trade, and it had such a perfect setup, which I don't want anybody obviously to be missing out on, but myself, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity again. So WLFC. Actually, did I add this one already? WLFC. So WLFC, where is it? There we go, right here. So it had this perfect triangle setup, right? It had broken above 100, it broke above this resistance line and then eventually broke above 180-day SMA line. So this was about a 30% jump, right? And still trading 21% higher at which than the price at which I bought. So I ended up selling it after the first candle, but if we look at the closer charted, a 20-day chart, we can see that this is exactly where I bought, this is where I sold. There was about a couple of $100 profit, and what I didn't follow through is I just ended up, my plan was to buy and sell at noon, which I did, perfect, I was happy with it. The following day I saw it retract, so I was happy about it too. So I didn't miss out on any profits, but then the following day it ended up skyrocketing for about 30%. So I don't want to be missing out on those opportunities, on those setups any longer in the future, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful pattern. So SBR definitely looks undervalued. SBR. Oh yeah, SBR is definitely getting up there, and yeah, it's still above this trend line, so that's awesome. SBR is definitely going to be on my list. I've lost my trail of thought here in a second, but all right, so we talked about, actually we did not talk about CIM during this stream, but you can see a lot of the real estate investment trust funds that are following the same exact pattern of making higher highs and finally breaking above a certain level once they stop being rejected by a certain level. So in this case, we ended up trading above by 17.7%. The previous line of resistance continuing making higher highs. So one small red candle still have about 22% profit margin up until 180-day SMA line, and have about 33.92% up until the next major resistance line over the past couple of years, right? So CIM, actually I'm gonna add CIM to my watch list. Yeah, we can, usually I set up 4 different alerts, and in this case what happened is both of the alerts that I set up for higher highs ended up activating last week, so that's awesome. I'm glad that we are following up and adding all of the stocks that, about 90% of the stocks that we ended up adding to our watch list last week and the week prior to that ended up making higher highs, and all I've seen on my phone over the past week is just reminders about how it just continues making higher highs. So at or above, create, boom. anything about of MMEX? Let's look at that one. It's a penny stock, but real estate, I think. Not 100% sure though. Yeah, let's look into this one. Yeah, so the reason why I tend to stay away from stocks like this one is just because of extreme manipulation. So what is this? The company ended up going bankrupt, was valued at $0. You can see lots of volume. You can see lots of just manipulation here. Again, the main reason why I stay away from these kinds of companies is because I'm somewhat of a value investor. I usually do my due diligence on financials of the company after the stream, just because it takes, you can't really talk about while watching all these different numbers. It's kind of a little bit more difficult to do. But MMEX, definitely on the overbought side. Still definitely on the overbought side. We used to trade at 0.01 cents per share. We saw probably thousands, 19,000%, almost $20,000, about 20,000% increase in valuation, and it's trading at let me just get it right. So 0.15. There we go. So it's still trading 1,200% higher than the valuation which it was before. This is something that you can. I'm not telling you to do this, but what I ended up doing a while ago is there's a company that I held on to for a while. They went bankrupt, and they gave me only one share of that company, and they changed it to a different name, a different ticker symbol. And I will never forget that. That was my very first investment back in, I think, like 2016. No, definitely not 2016, probably about like 2013. And I lost $800 in that investment. But ever since then, there was this one stock that was stuck in my portfolio that I kept monitoring, and they just kept changing. They changed the ticker symbol once, but they changed the valuation of the company. It would skyrocket by 13,000% in one day and then fall down. I'm still not making any money just because my broker doesn't update on time. It's TD Ameritrade. They don't update those small cap stocks, like miniature stocks, that would not allow me to sell even that one share of stock. But I'm trying to stay away from all these very manipulative stocks. But if you're doing something very fun and smart, you can also buy a ton of these for like $10 and just hold on to it for a while. OTC, yeah, so over the counter MMEX. Actually, let's check it out if Yahoo Finance is gonna have that. Yeah, I use TD and Webull. Yeah, definitely not enough volume. 5-year chart. That's pretty fun. I mean, I'm sure it's just extremely manipulative. So $44 million valuation. So let's see, Alden just wait hard. Yeah, I know. And that one day when it actually skyrockets, you can sell. So that's awesome. I mean, good for you. I do think that it's still a little bit on the overbought side, even with such a low valuation. But who knows? Maybe in 5-10 years, it's gonna go up to $2.80, and you're gonna make millions of dollars. So hopefully that happens to you. Hey, like years. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much, yeah. But you have to monitor it closely, like nearly every single day. And once those jumps happen, it's just this ghetto spread actually does work, which is insane. And there's lots of YouTubers who do that, especially with OTC market and shares, and with options, especially with options on the margin, which is insane. So yeah, where are you from? Make a guess where I can be from. Like in my name on YouTube, and make a guess where I'm from. But I'll tell you if you didn't get it right. So let's look at some other ones. So we checked out everything in FinWiz, everything that has been suggested to us, and let's check out some of the screeners. What I usually do is I change the valuation of the company to, what should we change it to? Let's change it to mid, so above $2 billion valuation. And dividend yield, let's change it to over 2. Actually, that is a good sign. Argentina, very cool. Argentina. No, I don't think I've ever said Argentina, but I like that. I wish I would be from Argentina. I'm from Ukraine originally, but yeah, Argentina, very cool. Somebody said I was from Canada. but they talked to me on the phone, so that was a pretty funny thing. But I was like, yeah, I'm from Canada, sure. All right, actually, EPD. Why does this one look so familiar? EPD. Okay, yeah, so we looked into this one before. Did we ended up adding this one as a... It's on our watch list. It's in my portfolio for EPD. The only thing is that it's approaching this line of resistance, multiple year resistance. We talked about this one a little bit earlier, so no way. Yeah. Brazil, Netherlands. Oh, that's pretty cool. Those are pretty cool guesses. Pretty cool guesses. Yeah, Europe, definitely. You were aiming there. All right, let's see what else we have. Let's see, we have ETRN. ETRN seems to be making higher highs. I kind of like this. This is a 3-year chart. It's continuing. It's showing us that the MACD indicator is pointing up. We have our RSI indicator that is still pointing up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and look and see. So it's finally trading above this line of a resistance, multiple year resistance. We can see a lot of consolidation at about $7 a share, $7 or $8 a share. What I would want to see is I would want this to continue making higher highs. Right now it's still making lower lows and getting rejected by this 20-day SMA line. ETRN. Let's look at the Yahoo Finance real quick. Discord community. I actually do have Discord community. I actually just created a Discord chat about two and a half weeks ago. The link is in the description below. Thanks for letting me plug this into the video. ETRN, boom. So 7.27% in dividends. Is this another student corporation? Is this another REIT? That has to be another REIT. Awesome, there we go. All right, so 7.27% in dividends. The company starts making higher highs. It's consolidating at this level of about $7 a share or $8 a share. We have a maximum chart ever since 2018, so it doesn't really have a lot of history of being traded. The lowest low was back in 2020 at $4.20. Was able to recover 50% of that, so 100% profit. $6.81 a share is about the next major line of support. I would definitely want to see higher highs. As much as it pays decent dividends, the company hasn't existed for long enough in order to be resilient to recessions and depressions. So for those reasons, I would want to look into REITs that are a little bit more experienced of going through low interest rates. Yeah, sweet. Okay, let's look at what else is being suggested by Yahoo Finance. EQT, I don't think I've ever looked into this one. Too volatile, a little bit too volatile. It's approaching also the line of multiple year line of resistance at 2006, 2008, 2010, and ever since 2014 started making lower lows. Yeah, not very interested. Too much volatility, doesn't pay in dividends. $5.15 billion of mid-cap stock. Let's look at stock screener real quick. All right, let's see what else. We're probably gonna do our stream for another, let's do another 10, maybe 15 minutes. Let's talk about some other companies and not gonna hold you guys for any longer, guys and girls. All right, but yeah, if you guys have any other questions for any other companies that you want me to break down, don't hesitate to share those. I love building up the watch list of your guys' ideas, and you guys have been very active, so I appreciate that. All right, sweet. Let's see. Higher highs. Nothing that stands out too much without being overbought. Okay, this looks nice. So FMX. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one in a second. FMX, boom. Saving many times. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one. I'm getting excited. All right, so we have this stock that seems to be a little bit on the overbought side, a little bit too much volatility for my normal trade. We can see that it ended up losing about 40% in value It was able to recover basically 50% of the losses, up until the 33% higher from the previous lows. It's still on the overbought side. MACD indicator is pointing up. RSI indicator is not overbought at 61, so it's fine. Let's look at a 1-year chart. If I would be a day trader, I would like to take advantage of this one. Let's look at a 10-day chart. Actually, no, let's look at a 20-day chart. That would be better. There we go, 20-day chart. So we can see that it's again showing us this flag pattern, right? We can see higher highs. Let's see how much we can extend, and let's see if we can use anything else as a support. All right, there we go. So this is good. So we can be within this channel up until, let's see, what is this? Up until the 24th of this month. Okay, so wow, so that's going to be a lot of, something is going to happen. It's either going to continue to go, it's going to either break out above this level of resistance, confirm it as a support, and in a perfect world continues to go up, or it's going to drop below this line of support and confirm it as a resistance. So what I would want to do is, again, if I would be day trading this one, this would probably be a very good option to monitor within the next couple of days, not even weeks. Let's actually close up on this one a little bit. Let's do 4 alerts on this one, at or below, and let's do another one right here, at or below. Sweet. And another one right here, at or above. All right, sweet. All right, so FMX, for day trading, potentially. For a long-term hold, I think it's a little bit on the overbought side, and it's approaching this line of resistance, a major line of resistance that is about 6% away. Not very interested into this one. AVGR. Oh wow, all right, so let's look at a different chart. AVGR. Very interesting. Okay, so I like this, especially for a day trade or a swing trade. I don't know about the multiple month holding. Let's look at a 1-year chart. Yeah, it still seems to be on the overbought side. What is it? It has gained probably 562%. Very cool. Actually, like, what is the maximum percentage that it had gained ever since the lows? It had gained 1100%, 1104%. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, 3-year chart is not gonna show me much. 1-year chart. See, I wonder what acted as a catalyst, right? They probably either merging with another company or got a deal with somebody, and then still, you know, continuing to trade above. But you can see a lot of manipulation. So I tend to personally stay away from companies that show a lot of manipulation in this one. And this is one of those companies that actually shows a ton of manipulation, right? You can see the volume spikes up. Again, don't know much about the company. I really don't know anything about the company. What happens with what acted as a catalyst for the price to go up so much. But actually, let's look at EVGR. Okay, so technology medical company. Okay, yeah, so it makes sense. I mean, it's also a small cap stock. I'm sure that there is a ton of volatility in this one. Again, the personal experience, nothing against this company. I personally try to stay away from something that is showing a diminishing marginal utility right over the past, 4 years, and the ones that usually come out and their valuation just, you know, drops down to zero, pretty much. But again, the way if I would trade this one, I would just literally buy it at probably its lowest level ever, and then wait for it to go above like $1. And those are crazy gains, like hundreds, if not thousands % of gains. So I mean, you buying 10 shares at, you know, 21 cents or $2, and then it skyrockets by 1100%. Like that's hard to beat. So, but yeah, AVGR. I do still think that it's on the overbought side right now. I would stay away from this one. We have 20-day SMA line that is pointing down. We still have a 180-day SMA line that is still like pointing up, and the next major support level is going to be 10% down, which is right here, and then the next level of consolidation and support is expected about 30%, and then it's air all the way down to 180-day SMA line. So just got to be very careful with this one. Yeah, but yeah, very cool. If you ended up holding on to this one for a while, very good, good for you. It's always stock. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool, very cool. Let's look at some other very low cap stocks that seem to be able to skyrocket every once in a while. So this one is at $1, skyrockets to about 13. It's currently trading on $1 a share. Lots of volume. We can see year to date, lots of volume right here. So 2021. Well, it also skyrocketed from 21 cents a share to $1.30. Very cool. ITRM. ITRM. Let's look in this one. Yeah, absolutely. Let's check it out. So it doesn't really show me much here. 2018. Okay. All right. So. All right. So extremely manipulative. You can also see that. Not a lot of volume. It shows a $294 million valuation, small cap stock. Lots of volatility. Lots of volume on the moves, on major moves. You can percentage-wise, I'm sure these percentage gains are insane. 551% gain on a stock that costs 45 cents. I mean, if there's some extra money laying around, I would find a pattern that has been shown to be very repetitive, with with the spikes that it has. Just like this had a enormous spike, but also didn't reach the previous levels of consolidation where majority of the people bought, right? After it dropped, it wasn't able to recover to its previous highs. So once it drops to a very strong support level, like multiple year support level, buying into something like that a little bit more aggressively would make more sense. But even at $1.67 valuation, still a little bit overpriced for me. Also, it's approaching this major line. It's kind of hard to draw. Let's look at a chart differently. I think it's slightly above this trend line. I don't think I can draw on Yahoo Finance. I should be able to actually, draw a line and just line, boom. So all the way from here to here. Okay, awesome. So it's finally breaking above this trend line. Again, hit or miss. I try to stay away from companies that have no volume at all whatsoever and then starting to get all this attention, right? So it's possible that it finally triggered the software, with all the major hedge funds and companies that are basically investing into these companies that make hundreds and hundreds of percent every year on their trades. And yeah, these departments of these companies just make so much money. It's insane. So $1.67 valuation that is finally breaking above this trend line that acted as a resistance. As long as it confirms it as a support, which it did right around here, if it continues making higher highs, I see that there might be a reason why somebody would want to hop into this one. Again, for me, it's just continuous bearish pattern. It's a little bit too strong for me. So not very interested in myself, but if it's a day trading or a swing trading for like a couple of weeks, that might be a decent time to buy. Another reason that I would want to stay away from this is because of these two lower lows, right? So both of these bottoms confirmed as a support, and that tend to act as a resistance, and it's not that far away from it. If it continues making higher highs and consolidates it around the same level, if it forms this triangle where it has higher lows and it gets rejected by the same level, I would prepare to take a position there. But up until just a couple of days of green candles above this trend line, not very yeah, not very that doesn't feel very enthusiastic about that one. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's make this one a very last one. So THTX. I was thinking you were saying THX. Thanks, but all right. So THTX. All right, seems to be on the overbought side right now from a 1-year chart. Okay. Okay, yeah, so very similar, just like we talked about, right? So finally broke above this trend line, and this is going to be easier to draw here. I should have done it on the previous stock. There we go. So it finally broke this above this line of a resistance and started making higher highs. Again, retracted back to its previous lows, finally starting to make higher highs. Awesome. I mean, can this potentially happen with the previous company that we just looked at? Very much. Very, very similar pattern, right? I do like the fact that it continues making higher highs, but I do think that the fact that it's approaching this 180-day SMA line, it might act as a very, very strong resistance. Again, lots of volatility, lots of volume. Let's look at the Yahoo Finance real quick, and let's see if it actually makes sense to follow up on this one. THTX 300. Okay, so small cap, doesn't pay dividends. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so would it make sense to buy this company at this valuation? Would it make sense to, and obviously this can be like a devil's advocate, would it make sense to buy it at its lowest level, right, a consolidation level? To me, it makes sense that to buy a company slightly above, probably below $2 valuation, or around $2 valuation, just because majority of the time the company traded below. So ever since 2012 to 2016, the company traded below this $2 valuation, right? And then once it formed this triangles that we just talked about, right? We saw higher low and resistance at the same level of $2.44, and then an enormous spike up. Would I say that it's completely overvalued right now? No. Would I say there might be not the best time to buy? Sure. THTX, I mean, it's very hard to time something like that. I totally get that. Let's do some basic technical analysis. Let's do something a little bit more unusual. All right, so we can see lots of consolidation on this level at $2 and at about $3. Let's call it $3 valuation. We can see that it got rejected multiple times, 1, 2, 3, and 4 times as a line of resistance. And it confirmed it as a line of support, and we saw this big red candle, which is 2.35%, right? So let's look at it. It probably was more, 17%, so it's almost 18%. Let's look a little bit closer into this 1-year chart. On this chart, gosh, it's just 17%, so much volume, so much volatility. It makes sense to long-term hold something like this, especially with MACD indicator pointing up. We have RSI indicators pointing that it's on the overbought side, but if you look at the entire chart, it's if you look at the THTX valuation on Yahoo Finance, you'll be able to see that it's definitely not on the overbought side in comparison to some previous valuations at which it used to trade before. Swing trade, yes. Long-term hold, yes. Day trade or maybe a short-term swing, I would try to stay away from this one. I do like following up on this one. You've been at my Gibla. I've been in my streams before, so I would want to add this one and follow up on this one before next during our next streams, and we'll see if you were right. So create, and let's do at or below, create, and let's do another one. All right, and that was our last company. Before you go, don't forget to smash that like button below. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for tuning in today. I love doing these. We are going to continue doing these streams every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and yeah, prepare some of the companies that you want me to break down. If you're not going to be watching this as live and as a recording of the video, don't forget to basically leave me a comment with the ticker symbol that you want me to break down. I'll add it to my list and we'll do it during our last stream. But yeah, have a good night to you too. Take care, guys. See you in the next one.